Yeah, 23, I was studying nature's efficient designs and trying to apply them to engineering. Specifically, I was studying how ants get the shortest paths from their nest to the food sources. So they do it by means of a chemical substance that is called pheromone. And I tried to apply this engineering that nature is giving us to an internet protocol and trying to get the shortest paths between two nodes on the internet. So I came with this algorithm inspired on the behavior of the ants and trying to get the minimum distance between 2 points using the minimum number of hops between them and creating a really efficient algorithm. And this was, in fact, the beginning of what later will be Libelium. So it was also a really important creation for me and for my career.
Hacker.
Yeah, I started giving lectures at university on parallel computing in Unix systems. Unix is an operating system in which Linux is based, but it's more robust and stable. And giving lectures at university of a specific matter forces you to deeply know what you are talking about. And creating algorithms for multiprocessing and parallel computation allowed me to learn a lot about this matter and then apply on the creation of the first multi-protocol router that we created in Libelium. That was the first product. And what years later will be the first Internet of Things gateway. Without any doubt, it was also a really important step in my career as engineer.
Keine Schwächen bleiben und unentdeckt. Haben in die Machtzentralen eingecheckt. Und am Ende unsere Erde ist nicht abzusehen. Hacker sind wertvoll, aber unbequem.
Yeah, so after designing these efficient networking protocols, I came with the idea of expanding the limits of the internet and allowing objects and the environment to be part of it. I mean, why not connecting a car, a building, a river, a tree to the internet? Why not make them talk? Yeah, so the idea is to give internet senses and that it can smell, feel, hear, and we can do it using these small tiny sensors that just attach to the objects in the environment and can send information in real time to the internet. So my team and I worked for 2 years on researching new low consumption algorithms that allows us to expand the battery life of the sensor nodes up to 10 years. And we are talking about using the same battery that the one that we use in the smartphone that normally lasts 1 day. So we wanted to expand it to a 10 years lifetime, and we got it. And at the same time, making these tiny sensors to send information wirelessly to dozens of kilometers. Yeah, so the name of Libelium is because Libelium is the Latin word for dragonfly, and I consider that these tiny sensors are like a swarm of smart insects that just dart from place to place, collecting information and bringing to the internet. So in some way, I call it like the invisible technology of also a swarm of information, which is a kind of philosophical concept, but also, I don't know, I like the way it connects these smart insects that are the dragonflies with this sensing and new technology.
Hacker.
Yeah, so we took all this technology and started deploying in cities. It's what we know today as the Smart Cities projects. And we started monitoring things that nobody was taking care before, like the air quality or water quality, or even placing thousands of sensors on top of the roads to control in real time the free parking places, so that people can just take a look to the smartphone and know where are these free places and just go with the car and saving money, but overall saving time. That is one of the most important things that people are taking care in cities. Yeah, so one of the most important projects that we made is this forest fire network detection. We install hundreds of sensors like these that you can see here on trees on the north of Spain to detect any type of combustion. Because when there is a fire, there are certain gases like CO, CO2 that are emitted to the atmosphere. So the idea is that with these sensors we can just detect in real time what is happening in the forest and perform alarms in real time. So it was one of the most important projects and really significant for our work as engineers and in a country like in Spain with so many forest fires every year.
Hacker. 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 Hacker.
Yeah, so we also work on a flood prevention network, placing sensors like this one on the bridges of rivers, and it has an ultrasound sensors that allows us to measure the level of water, so we can know in advance if a river is going to have too much water, and we can prevent flooding with that. We can generate alarms and take action in advance. Yeah, it's true. We placed those sensors on the Amazon. It was an amazing project because they wanted to measure the air and water quality of the river. Yeah, so we were performing some tests in the biggest fluvial aquarium in Europe that is located here in Zaragoza in Spain. And we wanted to know how the sensors were behaving in this specific type of water and with these specific fishes too, because some reactions can come with, you know, when you mix the animals, the sensors and the plants. And it was amazing because we could simulate the exact environment and then just take all this technology and make the real deployment on the Amazon.
Keine Schwächen bleiben, wurden unentdeckt. Haben in die Machtzentralen eingecheckt. Und am Ende unsere Erde ist nicht abzusehen. Hacker sind wertvoll, aber unbequem.
Yeah, the Fukushima project. So when the Fukushima accident happened, a lot of nuclear waste came out from the nuclear plant, and I watched on TV that the emergency units were going themselves with special suites on site to measure with these hand devices. And I came with the idea of why not getting an autonomous device that could just be thrown from helicopters or drones on the nuclear plant surroundings and get this information in real time using, for example, the 4G network. And this is how we start working on a radiation device that was completely autonomous. So we added a battery and a 4G connectivity, and we could just run from drones and just keep all this area monitored in real time without really having people moving there. So once again is how this technology can perform a real impact on the world and in this case even saving people's lives. So I'm really happy with this project.
Hacker. Hacker. Hacker.
Yeah, the project at the Masaya Volcano was also one of the most, I would say, key projects in the history of Libelium because we had the chance to deploy in an active volcano our sensors and to get information in real time about what is happening close to the crater of the volcano. And I must say it was the first connected volcano in the world. So we were monitoring parameters like the hydrogen sulfide because depending on the levels of this gas we can predict when the volcano is going to erupt, and this way we can generate alarms to evacuate the nearby villages that are close to the volcano. And once again it's how you see how this technology is creating a real impact on the world and on people's lives. I mean, literally saving lives of people that are living close to the volcano but it's also showing to the world how we can predict things before happening, and we can take advantage of all this invisible information that is coming from every place. Yeah, so my team and I took like the last 2 years working on a new type of technology. In this case, we want to monitor not only the environment of the objects, but the people themselves. So we created this unit. This is a hospital. This is a small hospital. It's called My Signals, and basically it's a monitoring room of a hospital, but 100 times smaller and 100 times cheaper than the monitoring room of a hospital. Yeah, so we can connect many different sensors like heart rate, oxygen in blood, or the heart signal, or the lung capacity, for example, and send all this information in real time to the cloud to separate diagnosis from monitoring. So normally it's performed in the same place, so you have to go to a hospital to get your diagnosis made after a monitoring process, but we just want to separate that because there are hundreds of millions of people that cannot afford to go into a hospital. So we want these boxes to be present in as many village, cities and countries in the world as possible, and to have a community of doctors that help with the diagnosis of many people that cannot really afford to pay for a private insurance. And yeah, I think it's going to revolutionize the healthcare system, and we want to be part of that change, and is what we are actually working. So the future of the Internet of Things. We have been deploying during these last years hundreds of thousands of sensor nodes throughout the world, and now it's time to make them smarter. We want them to act as not only as individual units, but as a unique collective community of elements that share this information and can have in some way a type of global brain. So we want them to react to the environment and to reprogram themselves to be able to react in a more intelligent way to the new situations that are going to happen. So I think that the future is in some way getting this network of sensors, getting some kind of consciousness so that we can take advantage of that, because in that moment all this information that is generated and monitored is when we are going to be using in the most efficient way possible.
Haben jetzt verstanden, sich in meinem Code zu einem System. Berechnen im Internet kann man diese Datawelten sehen. Können wir keinem Maschinencode widerstehen. Die Tradition muss ewig weitergehen.
The NASA agency just took interest in this technology because they wanted to measure the solar storms, and the sun is generating gamma rays that is a type of nuclear radiation that we can measure with this technology. So we just team up with them and we start integrating this technology into one of their new nano satellites that they were launching into the space. And in fact, it was released from the European Space Station. I think that it was one of the most important days in my life as engineer, but I would say that probably it was also one of the most important days in my entire life.
Keine Schwächen bleiben, wurden unentdeckt. Haben in die Machtzentralen eingecheckt. Und am Ende uns der ist nicht abzusehen. Hacker sind sehr wertvoll, aber unbequem. Datei mit Viren infiziert. Dumme User haben dieses approbiert. Und am Ende uns wäre es nicht abzusehen. Hacker sind sehr wertvoll, aber unbequem.
Hacker.
Thank